Today I'm going to show you how to create a SmartMusic file in Finale. I'm going to be using two different types of software, Finale and SmartMusic. And since this is a tutorial, I'm going to use a really basic song. I'm going to use Mary Had a Little Lamb. So first off, you'd have to go through the entire setup of getting your Finale score laid out the way you want with all the instruments and all the notes. To save us a little bit of time, I went ahead and made us a score. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. Alright, so here is Mary Had a Little Lamb for us. I'm going to be using this with 4th grade beginning band, so I have flute, clarinet, saxophone, trumpet, trombone, and bells as my instruments. And we'll take a quick little listen just to make sure it sounds like the song. Alright, so it sounds pretty basic. Now, the problem is I can't go ahead and export this over to SmartMusic. If I do that, I'm not going to hear anything in the background when I play the actual track. Most SmartMusic files have an accompaniment background track. This won't have it unless I add it. So, what I can do with the Finale file is I can add a drum groove in the background. So I can come up here to Plugins, down to Scoring and Arranging, and over to Drum Groove. Now I didn't select a region, but I want to make sure that it plays the whole way through the recording, so I want to make sure that it plays the whole way through the document. So then I'm going to get all these different styles of drum groove that I can pick from. So I'm going to go ahead and pick a fusion rock because I think it'll sound really cool. And I want to make sure I have a new staff at the bottom of my score so that way it doesn't interfere with anything that I already have. And I'm going to generate it with notation with percussion map, so that way it'll look like the standard percussion notation. Alright, it changed my score around a little bit, just changed some spacing, but that's not a big deal. We can go ahead and play it. Alright, it changed my tempo, but I can't hear that drum track still. So I need to make a couple more adjustments. I need to come up here to the window and the score manager, and you can see this blank staff 7, this is my drum track. It is playing out of the aria player. I need to change that to the Garriton instruments for Finale. Now unfortunately it changed it to sounding like a Steinway piano. That's not what drums are supposed to sound like, so we'll go ahead and change that. We will make it a fusion drum kit. Alright, and we should be good to go. Alright, so now my students have something to listen to when they have that SmartMusic file to play along with. So I should be ready to go ahead and export it over to SmartMusic. So File, Export, and SmartMusic. Alright, so I have a couple options here. Because I'm using this with 4th grade band, I want to make sure that I have the assessment feature available. So I want my students to be able to play along with the track. When they're finished, they'll get some red notes, they'll get some green notes. The green notes will mean that they did it right. The red notes will be some sections that they might need to work on. So that way they'll be able to visually see what they did well and what they need to work on. Just a helpful little feature. So I'll leave that checked. I'm going to go ahead and assess all of these parts so that all of my students have an opportunity to play along with it. Now I'm going to throw a challenge at them. I don't want my students to just be able to pick up on, oh, this is what another instrument's playing. I want them to pick up on the pulse, the beat, so that way they have something to listen to. They're working towards that rhythm feature. So I'm going to uncheck this, and I'm going to make sure that they only have that drum track to listen to. Alright, and from the Finale file, it picked up that the title is Mary Had a Little Lamb, and the composer was traditional. Finish. Alright, now this isn't a big deal. This just says that some text issues were a little bit off or that there's some spacing issues. It'll be completely fine when you transfer it over. Don't worry about it, just hit continue. And I'm going to save it onto my desktop so that way I know where it is right now. Alright, so it's right here. If I double click on it, it should open it up for me. Alright, and it looks like it all worked. So because I'm not going to play along right now, I'm going to go ahead and click the My Part. That way we'll get to hear the flute part and the drum track together. Um, Now, the problem with the finale files, anytime you transfer them over, any instrument, regardless of flute, clarinet, saxophone, trumpet, trombone, it's all going to sound like a piano. Don't worry, it's not an issue. The assessment feature will still work. Your students will still have the correct pitches to listen to. It's just the way that those files transfer. So we'll go ahead and start the take here. Alright, and because I had that part playing in the background, my microphone picked up on that. So it said that I got most of it right. However, I somehow got one little note here wrong. My assessment was a 92%. We all know that SmartMusic's not 100% correct all the time, so it's going to have a couple little glitches here and there. But for the most part, this worked out for us. We were able to take that finale file and put it into SmartMusic. So I hope this was helpful. I hope that you're able to take those finale files and create them for your students so they can play along. And if you have any extra questions, please feel free to ask me. Thanks.